We should be live.
Hey.
We think we're live.
Give us some feedback.
Live.
You guys hear us, see us all right?
Let's see if we can.
We are the Eagles.
If anybody can hear and see us, let us know.
We just got a notification that the
The
RVgeeks
RVgeeks
are
just
going
went live.
live.
Yeah, so that's a good
We
sign.
cannot see comments, so let's.
Yeah, let me just toggle over here.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
You better mute that.
hold on. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, we don't want to have feedback on the feedback.
Yeah.
There we go. It looks
Hello,
like
Daniel and James. We are live. Thank you, Daniel, for confirming.
Good. Sound
Hey,
and
here's
video
people
is
popping in.
good. Hi, everybody.
Awesome.
Okay,
Uh,
so
how many
now,
people
now
are
we're
here?
20 seconds behind all of that, so
What did we miss?
what have we missed? What's been going on while we've been
Can't
gone?
see how many people are here.
Yeah.
There we go. Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. And welcome to the live stream.
Yes, we are here in our lovely parking lot space.
That's right. Sorry for the late notice. This is kind of a really impromptu thing.
It is totally impromptu. We when did we decide? It was last night,
We were
right?
last night, and
Yeah.
Peter got this really serious look on his face, and he
He did.
says, "So,
What about
what
doing
would
a
you
live?
think about?"
Well, this is one of those things that comes up when you connect with fellow RVers and as you're traveling around and we happen to cross paths and we're in a parking lot and we're like, well, we can do something interesting in a parking lot. Let's go live. So I can't read these. They're too small.
Okay.
So,
We can't read the comments at the moment.
So
they're too small.
They're too small.
Yeah.
I can't read them either.
We're all blind.
There we go.
Way
So,
over there.
So these aren't any bigger, are they?
yep. There we
Okay.
go. So now we can see the
All right,
comments.
so now we can see the comments.
Just go. There we go. So hello, everybody. It looks like we've got a bunch of people here with
Yeah,
us.
really.
Yeah. Is there anybody joining from the West Coast? Because I know it's kind of a weird time for folks in this time zone.
It is, and sort of being full-timers, we do forget that other people actually have jobs and have to go to work.
And someone
I didn't even know what
asked-
day it was.
Someone asked whose RV we are in. We are in our RV, and if you can see through the window behind us right here, that's Brian and Melissa's
Yeah.
RV.
Hey, who's that guy? Oh.
Yeah. We can keep an eye on it in case anybody tries to sneak in while you're away.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
this is just an impromptu kind of thing. We're going to talk a little bit about parking lot camping, which we will kind of clarify what we're doing here. We're not actually camping,
No.
No.
but
No.
we're calling it that just because we're spending the night here together with friends. So
Actually, we do currently have our slides up so that we could be far enough away from the camera you could see all four of us at once.
Yeah.
But that would not normally be our behavior.
We're
Right.
blocking their slide, being out by the
Correct.
RV being in the way.
Well, we got this really great space here, and then all of a sudden these people decided to pull up right next to us instead of leaving a space.
Jerks.
Yeah, I don't know.
So rude.
So rude. Yeah, bad etiquette.
well, normally, so just a couple of etiquette things when you are in a parking lot, and we currently are in a Cabela's in a secret location, but
Secret Cabela's.
very much like being in a Walmart lot or other places where overnight RV parking is allowed. There are very specific things that you should and should not do
Mhm.
as a good RVer to keep this ability to come to places like this available to all of us.
Right.
So one of those things is you're not actually camping. Don't put your jacks down. Don't put your grill out. Don't put
set up your satellite
chairs
dish.
out.
Swimming pools.
No
Right.
swimming pools. Don't
So-
inflate the pool.
So
No.
we only put out as many slides as we need to just to function, which is really only one small one in the bedroom. But we've put out the slides up here today just so that we have room to do this, and then they will go back in.
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
In fact, most of the time when we stay in places like this or in a rest stop, we don't put out our slides
No.
at all.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
No.
Yeah, yeah. In
Mhm.
rest stops, definitely not. If we're in a truck stop or in a rest stop overnight, we leave all the slides in and just crawl over the bed
Yeah, we
because
climb over the bed.
Yeah.
the spaces are too narrow, and you don't want to risk that either a truck isn't going to be expecting, a big tractor trailer isn't going to
Right.
expect for your slides to be out. So when they pull into the space, they may not be thinking of that.
Mhm.
And secondly, you may be occupying more space than you should be. So now you're taking extra space from an actual like working truck driver who needs
Yeah.
to rest for a
Right.
few hours. So
Right.
But there's always times where you might want to get something out of the closet or whatever, so it's okay just to check and
Yeah,
pull out your
exactly.
slide, get your stuff out, and then
Or you
put
might
your
want to
slide
go
back
live
in.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
You never know.
things happen.
Yeah,
More space.
if we were to broadcast here with the slides in, we would all be pressed into each other, kind of
Yeah.
like this, where there wasn't room to
That's
move.
okay too. We could do that.
We could do that. We're
That's
friendly
one of the
enough. Yeah,
positions
we all
tried.
showered.
So,
We did, didn't we? Yeah, we did.
Well,
Well, maybe.
so this is the kind of thing when you're out on the road. So we're full time. Those of you who've come from our channel or our website or our Patreon page to be here with us today, in case you're not familiar with Brian and Melissa, they are better known as RV with Tito.
with Tito.
Yes.
Tito's not here, by the
No,
way. He
yeah,
didn't show
He's
up.
on the dash, back in
Yeah.
ours.
Right, and maybe
You get that question a lot, don't you?
We
maybe
do,
you could
yeah.
explain. The most common question that Brian gets
Right.
is, "Who is Tito?" or
Yeah.
"Are you Tito?"
So, well, actually, a lot of people call me Tito now because it's been our name. It started out as a blog, and that was the name of the blog, and it evolved, and we started doing YouTube, and then it, RV with Tito. So as I post things, as people start just assuming that I'm Tito, and for many years, actually, I didn't really say anything, and I just went as Tito.
Go with the flow.
In
Yeah.
fact, a lot of people still call me. They say, "Hey, Tito," so like, "Hey." And,
It is a more unique name.
Yeah.
If people were screaming, "Hey, Brian," you might not know they were talking to you. 'Cause
Right.
there could be another Brian around, but there's probably no other Titos.
I don't know. Well, actually, it's a pretty common occurrence for us to get gifts with the Tito vodka.
Oh,
So that actually
yeah.
works out well.
Yeah.
That was a good thought on the
Yeah,
branding
I
side.
know.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
But yeah, Tito is actually our little dashboard dummy. For those of you who've been following us for a while, it started out trying to come up with a name for a blog, and we didn't really want to put our names out there online.
Right.
And this was like over 10 years ago. And this is around the time when you saw those commercials on TV with the Travelocity gnome.
Yes.
And
yes.
then we thought, oh, that'd be kind of cool to be able to have our version of the gnome, and we would take pictures of it in weird locations or cool locations that we visited. And so that's what we decided to do, but something more personal. And I originally grew up in Hawaii, so we said, well, how about like a little like a hula doll? We ended up finding this kind of chubby dancing ukulele playing Hawaiian guy that bounces on the dash.
A little bobble guy.
And then we had to give him a name, and we were actually talking to our daughter was texting a friend of hers and told him we're trying to come up with this name, and he said, well, how about Tito? And because there was a guy, I think it was at Rocket Power, there's like a
Something like that.
cartoon,
Yeah, cartoon.
you know?
Yeah.
and
right.
he was this big, Hawaiian guy. Hey, how's it going? And his name was Tito. So that's the name
It
that
stuck.
stuck. And
Yeah.
we called it RV with Tito.
Wow.
So
I'm thinking
everybody
maybe
knows
we'll
it
be
that way.
maybe we should be
Everybody
RV with Grey Goose, or
Could.
for gift ideas.
Grey
Grey
Goose.
Goose vodka would be lovely. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I want to mention that I've seen a couple of people. I'm catching a little bit of the chat, and I've seen a couple of people say that they don't like parking lots in general, and that they'd have to be desperate to stay in a parking lot.
Oh.
So just so you know that we run the gamut. And we know there are people who only dry camp. There are people who only stay in full hookup campgrounds. We've been full-timing for just coming up on 16 years, and we run the gamut from high-end motor coach resorts to national parks to commercial campgrounds to Walmart lots.
Yeah.
And there are actually some advantages to staying in places like this, and we're going to stay the night here.
Mhm.
And that really is that we don't have to make a reservation and be sure we're going to make it to that destination. Like maybe we're going to try and cover a lot of ground in a particular day. And we're not sure we're going to make it all the way to the destination. Well, we can just hop online, see where there's a Walmart or another place like a Cabela's, like where we are, that allows overnight parking. And some of them are awesome. This place right here has long sites, long pull-throughs that are filled with there are some tractor trailers here, some other RVers. There are probably 50 dedicated sites right here.
Yeah, it's a big area.
There's a dump station here. This lot is very, very
a dump
RV
station?
friendly.
Yeah, it's
If you
great.
could see out the window here, we have a beautiful pine tree and other trees outside the window. It's actually a nice, quiet place to stay. And we can just pull in and in the morning, pull out.
Yeah.
And it's secure and quiet, and it actually works really well. It's not that we're desperate to stay in a place like this, but it just so happened that the place that was conducive for us to cross paths, there weren't any RV parks around here. and we're like, hey, we're just each going this way.
Yeah.
And
Intersect.
And this intersected our spot, so we parked.
And this isn't actually the first time we've met up here.
No, exactly. It's sort of our place.
Yeah, it's like, let's just meet up. It's kind of a sure, we know it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Well, and I saw somebody was concerned about the fact that there was no... they're concerned about their RV refrigerator and not being perfectly level when you're running your propane refrigerator. But the propane refrigerator does have some flexibility. I think our Norcold said you could be 6 degrees off front to back and 3 degrees off side to side.
I've never had a problem. Really.
Yeah.
Unless it's really out of whack.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I could, I want to, since I see a lot of questions are coming in, if we can just hop in and answer some of your questions. Someone wants to know what size battery bank we have. John Stewart asks. What size are your battery banks? We have 600 amp hours of lithium, 540 usable.
We have 450 amp hours of AGM. Half of that's usable.
Right.
AGM and flooded, 50%.
Yeah.
Someone wants to know, Marion Lyons wants to know, do y'all drink alcohol when we're using a parking lot overnight? I'm always afraid we might have to move the RV.
Well,
I was going to say we have no problem doing that, but that's a good point.
Well, sure. I don't think you should be walking around the parking lot drinking alcohol.
No.
I mean, but I think it's probably okay inside your rig.
Maybe if I understand right, what if they were asked to move and they've been drinking?
So I was going to say, we've never been asked to move from any of the parking lots that we've spent a night in, mostly because we only ever use places that have basically been pre-approved.
Official policy of doing it. And I will tell you, our favorite place for finding places to just do an overnight on our way through is overnightrvparking.com.
Yeah.
If you go to our website, the RVgeeks.com, to our discounts page, you'll even see a discount code for joining overnightrvparking.com.
Yeah, I forget what it is a year. It's like $20 a year or something for the membership. And it's so worth it because it's vetted, because it's crowdsourced, basically. People who are staying at Walmarts or whatever and are going in and checking in with management to make sure it's okay are then reporting in, as of this date, I was allowed to stay. So when you go to look at a location, you can see, oh yeah, somebody just stayed there a couple months ago. So I know it's safe. You still want to go in and check in because that's the courtesy of staying in a Walmart lot. But again...
And there's still that possibility that you might pull into a place and you really maybe can't find a spot. Or we've actually been to Walmarts where we were used to where the RV parking area is. And we pull in and that whole area is blocked off.
Oh, yeah,
and
or they're doing work or something.
Yeah.
Or they just shut that part of the parking lot off. So there may be a situation where you may have to just go to the next one or keep driving.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone jumping off the cliff mentioned that he's done casinos a few times.
Oh, yeah, casinos are great.
Casinos are one of our favorite places to stay.
Yeah.
We love casinos, and you can go to casinocamper.com, I think it is. Is that the website?
Yeah.
And also, of course, overnightrvparking.com includes a lot of casinos, and so does campendium.com.
Nothing better than pulling into a place that A, is welcoming, B, has a spot. Typically, they'll have an area of the parking lot designated for RVs, and C, has a buffet.
Yeah.
So after a long day of driving, no cooking is a great thing.
And they're everything. That's nice.
And they're free to stay in most of the time. They're usually free to stay in.
Yeah.
And they have usually great rates on their restaurants because they want people to come in and gamble, so that the drinks are less expensive very often, the food's less expensive usually.
And we stayed at those casinos in the UP of Michigan, where literally you would go in and check in. They had you sign up for the gambling
club card,
club card,
and they gave you like $10 worth of coupons
that
machine, you could basically just go to the machine, run once, and cash out. Not saying we did that,
and
but
pay for your breakfast.
And basically, they had a free 50 amp hookup.
Oh wow!
And they gave us $5 every day to gamble with
each. So you could come out ahead of the game if you just stayed there for a little while.
Or if you got lucky at the table.
Or if you got lucky at the table, or on the slots.
But I would also suggest that if you're gonna map out a casino, if you probably have better luck if there are casinos that are outside of metropolitan, really congested areas. Once you start getting close to cities and stuff, it may be a situation where the casinos don't allow overnight RV parking.
Yeah.
So
it never hurts to call and ask.
Usually you can go to their website and they'll say so on the website, or you can call somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And there, of course, there are casinos that actually have RV parks.
Yeah.
So some of them don't allow overnight parking in their parking lots because they want to shunt you over to the RV park.
Or they may have a designated area. Because sometimes they don't like you parking in in the spots where a lot of their regular cars would park. But
so we also have somebody who threw in a Baba Booey.
Baba Booey.
To which I will say, hit him with the hind. That's an inside joke.
That's an inside.
Okay, so maybe not so inside.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the kind of thing that you try and do. This meeting up thing here. The fact that we happen to be in a parking lot is kind of ancillary.
Yeah,
doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. But when you're out on the road now, again, Brian and Melissa are not full time.
Nope.
Yet.
We won't ever be full time, but we'll be able to actually RV more often for longer periods of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is going to be really nice.
Which is, the reason why we actually do this type of, we don't call it camping, but we stay in parking lots and rest stops and that sort of place quite frequently, because when we go out, we're usually within a time frame of, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And so we're doing a lot of traveling on the road, and we don't necessarily have a destination plan. So when we get tired, we pull into a spot and sleep, and then keep on going.
Yeah.
But,
sometimes it's a safety factor. Again, we have been in situations where we made a reservation somewhere, and it turned out it was really further than we wanted to go. And now you have a reservation that's usually non-cancelable, or you're going to lose a night's reservation, a night's lodging cost if you don't stay. So this is utter freedom, and we like it. I know that for folks who haven't done it, it might seem odd, it might seem distasteful, but there is something awfully special about sleeping in a parking lot just as comfortably as you sleep in your home, because you are in your home.
You are.
Well, and I think too, so for us, a lot of people say, oh, well, you guys are full time, and a lot of people obviously are retired on the road, and so they say, oh, well, I don't have a schedule to keep, so why would I need to be rushing so much? Well, so as full time RVers, and we work from the road, there are a lot of situations where we do actually have either appointments or things that we need to keep up with, where we do have to cover a specific period of, a distance to cover, and we just want to be able to pull in someplace, grab a quick bite to eat, go to sleep, and get up the next morning and keep going.
Right.
So, even as full-timers, that comes in handy. And then, like you guys just said, if you're not a full-timer and you have your 2 weeks of vacation, you want to
get there as fast as we can.
Yeah. So, in between...
I haven't thought of that mostly. Most of the time when you're going out for a week or two or a long weekend, you just want to get where you're going.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of times a lot of times when we're destination bound, we've already kind of driven the route, several times south in our case, and we don't really care about stopping and smelling the roses. We want to get to the sun
destination,
or southwest or wherever we're heading, and a lot of times I'll just drive at night because there's less traffic at night. And you got to watch out for deer and stuff like that.
Well, that's a good reason to stay on the interstate.
But you can just drive until I might drive till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you can find a place just to pull over, and or a rest stop that has an open spot.
Yeah.
But just kind of play it by ear.
I want to say a quick congratulations to the burly nomads who just said that they've been living in their 40-foot Class A for about 6 weeks.
Oh, excellent!
Oh, wow.
RV park to get used to it before they travel. But tomorrow is our first official travel day. Congratulations! And they want to know if there's any advice for their first travel day. And I see some people who have already been saying they should take it easy and enjoy themselves.
Yes.
So, do you have any specific advice for the very first day on the road for full timing?
Oh my gosh.
I have a quick thought about that. So, preparation.
He's buying you time.
So, number one, I would say plan a short travel day. Don't try and go 400 miles.
No.
Pick a destination that's maybe 100 or 200 miles maximum away. Go to maybe to a full hookup park the first time. Maybe one that's got pull through, so you can just kind of go in, get there while it's light out. Don't try and hook up or park in the dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, before you leave, do a thorough pre-trip inspection.
Yeah.
Make sure all your tire pressures are checked. Check your oil. Go through everything. Walk around. Stand back and eyeball things. Is your TV antenna down? Have you disconnected the electric cord? All the little things that you could accidentally do wrong. If you're towing a car, triple check to make sure it's connected properly.
Even 16 years in, we still double check each other. So, I'll pull the car up behind the RV. He starts hooking it up. I finish getting everything set up in the car. And then when he's done hooking up, we swap places. He double checks me to make sure the key is turned and the steering wheel is unlocked, the car is out of gear, and I check him to make sure all the cables are connected properly. So we never take for granted that we're doing it all right the first time.
That's after 16 years.
Yeah.
And the earlier in the morning you get started, if you're not a morning person, be careful. John doesn't generally make breakfast because I don't trust him near the stove or with sharp objects like a knife early in the morning.
No, it's not a good idea. But, so, I mean, because isn't there like the 2-2-2 rule or something like that? Off the road by 2 o'clock, never travel more than 200 miles. There's something else in. There's another 2 in there.
But it's a very personal.
I think it depends on how you like to travel.
Yeah, we drove 600 miles in one day.
I'm just confusing that with my breakfast order from this morning. You did the 2-2-2.
But yeah, I think for me, I've always found value in knowing that everything is functioning. So, like Peter said, try everything. And one thing that I'd like to do is, especially if your RV's been sitting for a while, just take the slides out, put them back in. And all those moving things that you just need to be working all the time, make sure you try them before you leave.
Yeah, right.
Especially if you do, if you're in a rest stop and you pull your slide out and all of a sudden
you
go to leave or you try to put it in and it's stuck, that's not the place you want to figure that out.
Our very first day of full-time RVing started with our slide not retracting. In the driveway of our old house that we had just sold. We'd closed the day before. We had dinner with the new owners that night. We spent the night in the driveway, which was very convenient for them because we had all sorts of utensils. We brought napkins and paper plates and all the stuff that they had packed in boxes in the house. That morning we woke up, went to put the slide in while their moving truck was ready to back in the driveway to move all their stuff into the house, and the slide wouldn't go in. It was oh God.
So we were outside leaning against it with others who were nearby helping to get the slide to go in the very first day.
First day.
And I can tell you the date. That was April 11th, 2003.
Hasn't happened since.
And the reason I know that is because that's the day we started RVing. April 11th, 2003 was the first day we ever RV'd. Just sold the house the day before, drove away, and literally never went back.
Yeah.
Now, so this coming, we're only like 2 weeks away. It'll be 16 years for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if only Brian had been there the night before to suggest to us that maybe we should run the slide in the night before, that would have been really great advice.
Well, and then, by the way, that is good advice. So put most things away and be the most ready to go the night before, and you'll have a smoother start.
We'll do that if there's weather. So, if it's going to get really cold or if it's going to rain overnight, we will pull the slides in the night before so we don't have to deal with water on the slide toppers or any risk of the cold suddenly causing a problem with a motor not working properly or whatever. So,
well, another thing we do, and I don't know if you guys do this or not. I mean, I know for you guys, we primarily we don't always go to hookup parks and things like that. So whenever we leave, we're fully loaded with water and propane and everything. So if we do get stuck or have to stay somewhere, we're good. We don't have we're not lacking for all those things that we need to live.
A lot of people mention that they travel without hardly any water on board.
I know some people don't like to do that because of the weight.
And the reason they're concerned about the weight. Our standard mode of operation: full fresh water, empty black and gray. Yeah. As a matter of fact, in the preparation for coming here, so we had been dry camping for a couple of weeks, and yesterday we had full black, full gray, empty water, empty propane, low fuel.
It was the complete opposite of what we wanted to be.
So on our way here, we stopped at a dump station and we dumped black and gray and filled fresh. We topped up with fuel and propane, and now we're here with completely filled resources, and it provides this sense of freedom, knowing we can go anywhere because we have all the resources we need. We can drive 1,000 miles without stopping. We have 150-gallon fuel capacity. The only thing we don't have right now is a full refrigerator, so we
but it also gives you flexibility. I know the way that we like to travel is we don't make plans.
Right.
We just like to go. And when you're fully equipped and you have everything ready to go for a week or whatever, you might find a cool spot along the route to wherever you think you're going and decide to stay there a couple days. And,
absolutely.
And you have everything you need to be able to do that. And you're not just destination bound, which is, how we used to be driving in cars to a different hotel or, whatever. So you
Where you have to have a reservation.
You have to have a reservation.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, certainly there are people who maybe their travel trailer is too close to the weight limit on the axle, so traveling with the tanks full is an issue, so you don't fill them up till you get there. That's a totally different story. Now you've got a different criteria. But if you don't have that issue, you know, we are definitely big fans of traveling with your resources ready to go, because you don't know where you're going to end up.
Exactly.
When we may want to stay for longer than we thought originally.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, we've actually found places that we didn't expect when we've been traveling, and just ended up staying for a few days. You know?
Right.
But
so if you have any questions about anything to do with RVing, you have 2 channels representing a lot of DIY stuff. So if you've got questions, if you're a little new and you're not sure how to dump your black tank yet, or
pick our brains,
maybe something more complicated, feel free to leave a note, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. I see we've got quite a few people, 247 people here with us at the moment.
Well,
hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a Wednesday afternoon.
I know.
We're glad to have you here.
Well, I will say the first time that we've actually known each other for a few years.
Yes.
And I think the first time we met each other, it was just by accident.
It was completely.
And each time we've gotten together, it's been like this. It's been kind of, hey, you know, how can we connect? And you know, half the time it's been in a parking lot.
So let me just, I want to catch up with a couple of comments.
I think it was like 2013 or 14 when we kind of first met.
That was in Edmonds.
Yeah.
Yep. So I want to just mention a couple of comments that are here. Somebody else seconds full water, propane and diesel.
Yeah.
Empty gray and black.
Oh yeah. Wendy says she's been to places where she got to a place and the water wasn't working, so having fresh water on board.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, you never know what situation.
You never know where you're going to end up. What if you were to have a breakdown or get stuck?
Yep.
We got stuck once in the desert, and luckily we had plenty of water on board, and we were fine. Let's see.
Or weather could even come through, and the power could go out. You could be in a campground that's got a well, so their pump now is not working. So
and double check your water heater, for example, that may run on propane and electric. Maybe you always run it on electric, but make sure you test that propane mode to make sure that works. If you're not hooked up somewhere, you can, you know,
You could have a spider nest in the.
It could be anything.
You never know.
Just won't ignite.
Here's a question from Barbara, who said, other than weight, are there any other problems with carrying full water? She seems to think that someone posted something that the load could be hard on the systems as it's sloshing around. I would say that your RV is designed to handle a full freshwater tank, and I would think that wouldn't be a problem at all.
Yeah, no, we've been doing it for 14 years in this RV, traveling everywhere we go with pretty much a full freshwater tank, and have not had an issue.
And we both have motorhomes, so like you said, if you had a trailer, or fifth wheel or travel trailer, the distribution might be a little different. You know, we have probably a much larger chassis.
That's true.
You know, underneath. So I know our water tank is totally in the far back of the RV.
Okay.
So it does add a little bit of weight back there, but it's nothing that I would notice while driving.
Yeah.
But it's
ours is pretty much right in front of the rear axles, and it's pretty low down.
Well, and
so
again, we're in motorhome, so it helps.
But
Dewey Tyler wants to know, where can I find what tire pressures to tow with? You need to have your rig weighed, and not just the whole thing. You ideally should get corner weights. Yeah. And then you need to use the tire manufacturer's tables, the air pressure table, based on the weight that's on each axle.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you get each of the 2 sides of an axle weight, so each tire on each side, and then you use the heavier of the 2, and you inflate both tires to the same pressure based off of whichever side is heavier. So you look it up in the inflation tables, and you'll say, oh, well, so if I have 7,000 pounds on a single tire, then I need X PSI, and then you inflate both of them to that. Maybe even add 5 PSI just to give yourself some buffer.
Here's a question for Brian and Melissa. When are you going to be done on the new RV updates?
Oh
yeah.
Good question. Well, if we weren't bothering you, you'd be getting more work done, wouldn't you?
Well, I am actually working on that now. There's one part that's finished. That hasn't been finished, which was this whole table counter thing that I've yet to build, but I'm getting to work on that now. And our plan is to actually have it all done by the end of
April.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
We have to come back.
And we have seen it in person, the progress.
Yes, it's beautiful.
It's really beautiful. They're doing a great job.
Not a surprise that Brian is doing great work at all, but it looks really, really nice.
Well, and Melissa's input too, you can see that it's got a lot of beauty involved and a lot of thoughtfulness about what they're going to decide to do.
And to answer the question, I don't think it's ever really going to end, at least for a while, because the more that we start changing, originally we planned to just kind of do the front of the RV and the living space, but the more that we do, the more that we just want to continue all the way back, and we're going to redo the entire kitchen. We're going to, redo the bedroom area. And
we're trying not to look. We don't want to be inspired.
But it's important that we get to a stopping point periodically, so the RV's in a usable state.
True.
So it's not just always torn apart.
Yeah.
Here's a quick question from Seeking Serenity that I think is for us. Wondering if when we get back, quote, home or spend time with family, do they tell us that we've changed during the time since we've gone full time? Are we more patient, healthier, and relaxed? And the answer to that is no, because we're hanging around them, and that all goes away.
Instantly. It just evaporates.
Oh, I better be careful. My mother might be here.
No, I mean, I don't know that I would say that I think any of our friends or family have noticed that we've changed, per se. I feel more relaxed. I definitely...
Until we go home.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Which isn't home anymore.
Yeah, and it is funny. I mean, because it's... On the one hand, family, they've known you since forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
they have to love you, don't they? Isn't that the theory?
I think so.
But at the same token, sometimes the thing that I find is that they have an expectation sort of who you are and what your role is in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so being away from it for long periods of time, sort of going back, I tend to chafe at the feeling that like I'm expected to fall back into a role as, little brother, son, whatever, that I'm not used to filling when we're just the two of us out on the road. And it's not like it's a big deal, but I do sort of notice that again, being away from family for long periods of time.
Yeah, I guess
fitting back into those
roles
feels like I'm putting on a costume.
I think the biggest thing when you go visit family is they don't understand why you want to sleep out in the driveway rather than in their guest bed.
Come on in.
It's your house.
We've got a room
Don't
for
you
you.
I got my own bed here with all
Don't you want a real bed and a real shower?
We kicked out the kids. You can have their bed.
Yeah, right. No.
Yeah.
Put the kids back in place.
John's aunt was horrified. We wanted to sleep in the parking lot of their family's restaurant downtown.
Yes.
In our RV rather than her guest bedroom.
Yes. And I'm like, Aunt, why am I going to pack up all of my stuff to come to your house for a couple of days when I could be an even better guest and you won't have to do laundry when I leave?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that really has to be one of the coolest things about RVing is just, it doesn't really matter where you are, is when you have everything you need around you.
Yeah.
You always have your home with
I
you.
actually stress out when we're like flying somewhere because I'm afraid I'm going to forget something.
I know, packing is horrible.
It is totally
Having
horrible.
everything they own with us is much easier.
Every
time we leave the house.
Can we pave a route between here and Europe? Because I'd really love. Well, actually, this RV would not be good in Europe. No, never mind. No, I changed my mind on that.
So here's a question for me from Alan, who wants to know if we've had any thoughts about bringing back the piano piece from our old intro.
Isn't that funny? We talked about that this morning.
This morning we were talking about that. That's me playing Scott Joplin's Maple Leaf Rag. Mm-hmm. We actually did include it once or twice recently. I think we kind of just moved on and we're doing other things. If you really want to hear that, there is a video I put up of me playing the entire Maple Leaf Rag at the Las Vegas Motor Coach Resort. Mm-hmm. Just go to our channel and look up Maple Leaf Rag, Scott
You can bookmark
Joplin.
it and listen to it anytime you want.
And actually, I'm playing it at the correct speed there, not sped up like I did.
Maybe you guys should jam a version. You and Brian should jam.
So let's see. Here we go. So Paul wants to know, when is the best time to check and add air to tires? I know my correct pressure based on the weight of my RV. We really enjoy both of your YouTube channels. Thank you, Paul. That's a very easy question to answer. First thing in the morning before the sun hits the tires and before you drive. That is the only time to check the tires. As soon as you drive or as soon as direct sunlight hits the tires, the pressures will begin to rise artificially. Always cold.
We can see a difference. Yeah, as I said, we can see a difference if the tires have been in the direct sun for any amount of time. You will see a differential.
You guys did a video about that, didn't you?
We did, because it's surprisingly dramatic. You've got black rubber; it absorbs a lot of heat, so it really warms up. And actually, that's another thing that we really like about having a tire pressure monitoring system. Right. You can power it up in the morning while you're getting breakfast ready, and it will connect with all the tires, and you can check all the pressures from the comfort of your pajamas.
We don't have a tire pressure monitoring system or tire checking pajamas.
Mine have little tire pressure gauges.
They have little tires on them.
They're funny pajamas.
It's not because he looks like the Michelin Man.
I do want to edit. If it's it's a giant onesie with footsies.
At the minimum, I always check it before we're heading out, and
right.
And periodically, if we're pulling in for gas or something, I'll walk around and do a little thump test, look for anything.
Yeah, sure.
Obvious. Well, we have had one flat tire once.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because of our lack of checking pressure. It just happened to be we got a puncture on the highway, but we were luckily able to get into a tire place really quickly.
Oh, that was good.
And got it changed for free. And luckily the tires were under warranty. It was at a Les Schwab.
Nice.
And I just got new tires at Les Schwab, and there was one like a mile away, and it was in one of the rear dualies, and pulled in, and they replaced the whole tire for free.
Very handy.
Yeah.
Good argument for going with services like that with a national chain.
Right. And that was one of the things that I really learned about that experience is when I was originally looking to replace my tires, I was thinking, I need to get these, Michelins, these specific ones, and they're expensive. And actually the guy at the tire place recommended these other tire that had the same specs that I was looking at, and it was actually cheaper. And the fact that you could go to any location throughout the West, which is primarily where we travel.
Yeah.
And they have your tire in stock. So they could, they could swap it out without a problem.
You don't want to be stuck somewhere waiting for a tire to get shipped in.
Our tires are a little specialized, having a little bit larger ring.
We have just standard truck tire.
Right.
Yeah,
we use Michelin XZA2 Energy 295 ADR 22.5, and if they don't have that tire,
and
they got to order it.
Unfortunately, that is like an RV specific size. Trucks don't tend to use that size. They're either 275s or 315s. So we're stuck in the middle, and most places don't stock it.
Yep. So somebody asked, James Richardson asks, are you Canadian? James, I'm going to ask if you could clarify who you're asking that to. Is that someone in the chat or to us? If it's to us, the answer is John and I are both
binational.
We are both American and Canadian. We are both. And if that's for Brian and Melissa,
no,
they're American.
But we're all North American.
That's
right. That's what we share.
Yeah.
It's not a boot.
Let's see. Pete Cook said, I'm heading out for the first time by myself in May. I want to go out west. Am I taking on too much for my first time out? I've been in my RV since November. So first question I have, you say you're heading out west. I guess the question would be, where are you coming from? Right. You're concerned that going out west would be either different or challenging. So maybe you can clarify that in here. That my first instinct would be no, because RVing is RVing, whether you're in Nebraska or Florida or Pennsylvania and you come out to Nevada or Montana. You're just going to have bigger, more wide open spaces
and taller mountains
and some pretty dramatic beauty out west.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you guys. So is there any, if you were to tell somebody, here are those things, those maybe inexpensive components or parts that you should have with you, that you wish you had,
we have
along the
one
way.
Of everything, Brian.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Is something always is going to go wrong. It's just part of RV life.
Yeah.
But are there anything? I know I used to have a Volkswagen van, and years and years ago, and there are a couple things that we would always have on hand that were like $10 parts that could ruin your day. A clutch cable.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of a difference. I think there's a little bit of a difference for us because we're in a diesel pusher.
Yeah.
And we're not qualified to work on most of the really big, the things that would make you break down on the side of the road. We can't work on those things ourselves. We're not diesel mechanics. And by the way, even if we had something as simple as a flat tire,
I wouldn't replace my tire.
We don't carry a spare.
No.
Almost no RVs, big RVs carry spares, partly because it takes up a lot of room and is very heavy, but partly because you shouldn't be changing it yourself anyway.
I have a spare. I've never used it.
Yeah.
That was classic.
I have very little.
It's bolted underneath the rear of the RV.
I didn't think we
We do.
You mean a
Alright.
spare tire, not a spare wife.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
God.
never
yeah, right. Well, and of course, the other thing too is with RV tires,
Mhm.
you know, they age out before they're gonna. So you want
Right.
to be careful about if you're carrying a spare tire around.
Is it a good tire?
How old is it? Yeah, are you
Yeah.
putting a 10-year-old tire on? And if you are,
I
don't
would
go
be.
very far.
Yeah.
Don't go
I
very
would
far
be.
because that could be dangerous. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's a good question, and we've had other people ask that same kind of thing,
Mhm.
and we don't actually have a list of, pieces
We
or
just-
parts that we carry. We do have a spare driveline belt for the engine.
We've never used it, and
But of
we
course-
couldn't put it on ourselves. It would be so that if a tech came to help us broken down on the side of the road, we would have the part for him to replace it.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
we've never
again,
used it.
knock on wood, we haven't had a breakdown like that. So
I would keep some basic tools on hand though, in
Mhm.
case
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
we,
you did
we carry a
fix
lot of
something.
a lot
Yeah.
of basic tools.
Mhm.
So there's a question here for us specifically for the RV Geeks. Instead of and this could be for Brian and Melissa too, actually. Instead of Wi-Fi Ranger, have you ever tested a router such as the PepWave and used Wi-Fi as WAN with a good antenna and compared the two?
No.
we belong to RVmobileinternet.com for
We're
that
gonna-
exact question.
We are going to punt that to Chris and Cherie, and you can go to RVmobileinternet.com or what's the new? Just go to RVmobileinternet.com. It resolved to the new website.
Lots of people really love the PepWave for the ability to have a SIM card in the device, so you can have a dedicated data plan for the router. But even so, you still probably need to have an external antenna because the PepWave, if you stick it inside the RV, you're dealing with the same issue of the walls of the RV blocking access to the signal. So, and again, I don't know how does the PepWave do.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
so-
don't know.
Yeah. We do use our Wi-Fi Ranger for Wi-Fi as WAN, by the way. So we do normally just leave our
We do
iPhone
both.
on the table
Mhm.
or our hotspot up on the front. And even though we could tether with the USB cable to the go-to, we don't. Don't ask me why.
We should punt that though to RV Mobile Internet. And if you
It's a good
go
question.
go to our website, go to the RVgeeks.com/discounts, and you will find a link there to Chris and Cherie's website with
Technomedia.
a discount.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
and
I see what you looking
there's
at
a
this
question
one?
here for Brian.
Yeah. Is it a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So Brian, somebody said, love the Cymarine episode. Am I
That was
pronouncing that right?
Oh yeah.
They are supposed to have a caravan power panel soon. Do you have any pull in getting one for review?
I can ask, but I don't know.
We just were looking at the Cymarine system today, and your RV. That was really
Yeah.
cool.
I really like it actually.
Mhm.
But I didn't realize they had one coming out. I know they have some other stuff coming out, like different plug-in modules for the Pico system that I have.
Okay. Right.
Oh,
Which
we
is
used
one
to
of the
have a
things
Pico
I liked
station.
about it is
No,
that
no.
it's modular.
Oh, okay.
Cymarine Pico,
Oh,
not,
got it.
not the
Yeah.
Ubiquity Pico.
So I'll look into that.
Okay.
Mhm.
that sounds cool.
Robin Beach has a great suggestion for something to bring along.
Okay.
Lots of cash for repairs. Good one.
Or
I
a
like
credit card with a good credit limit.
Okay,
doesn't hurt.
here's an interesting question. What is the maximum wind miles per hour for you?
Wind.
I don't think we've ever come across that question before. We have been out in some pretty windy conditions, and we have a little bit of an advantage having a very heavy motorhome. We weigh 19 tons. We have a tag axle. We're very well planted to the road with a low center of gravity. I think if we were to, be out and there were, hurricane warnings out and there were going to be 60,
Yeah.
70, 80 mile an hour winds, we wouldn't be on the road, but we've never really encountered that before.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been in a couple situations where either it's a known windy area, and there's been stretches of the road where it says, "Hey,
Danger, high winds.
no large vehicles, danger, high
And
winds,"
we've been rerouted.
and been
Oh, yeah.
rerouted.
Yeah.
Other than that, sometimes you just find yourself in windy conditions, and if it's too windy, pull
You
off.
pull off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Right.
Jumping off the cliff wants to know, does your coffee table fold up? It's something I need for my Dutch Star. I want to let you know the coffee table you're seeing right here.
Does it go like this?
This
It does
coffee
fold
table
up.
folds up. This was something we checked.
Oh, fold from the bottom.
Yeah.
was
the
this an
legs-
option or did it
Oh.
come with it?
It was an option.
This was an option we checked on our Newmar list, and we know it's available from Newmar because friends of ours with an 05 Newmar, just like ours, bought
after the
one
fact.
after the fact from Newmar. So go to Newmar's, call their parts department
Yeah,
and tell them
exactly.
you want the same coffee table that was available on an 05 Mountaineer
Yeah.
or
Mm.
anything else. you can get this exact same one, and they'll match the wood to whatever's in your RV.
Correct.
Cool.
There's also, I think, one or two aftermarket people in the Elkhart area or in the Napanee area that are woodworkers that make a similar design. But yeah, the legs fold up, and we just flip it over onto the couch here, so it gets out of the way.
If you had to sell this one, what would your price be?
Oh, it's priceless.
This
is priceless.
This was like $350. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't cheap.
It wasn't cheap. But
it wasn't cheap.
But it's like typical typical Amish craftsmanship. It's very well made.
Yeah.
So
and it is very handy having it collapse and fold up onto the couch. So
kind of like what we do.
Yeah. Right. You collapse and fold up on the couch.
Yeah.
Very handy. Good to know. After a long day of driving, it is convenient.
So someone was wondering what our experiences are with getting RV parks, and have we had a problem reserving on short notice? We've been full-timing for 2 years, and it seems more difficult.
It is getting more difficult.
think when when we first started RVing, that's primarily what we did is totally RV parks. We thought that's what you were supposed to do.
Well, you have an RV, and there's an RV park.
But yeah, I think during that time, we would make a lot of plans, and we would say, okay, we're going to go here, then we're going to make a reservation. We go here, and we go there. And then we started winging it a little bit more, and then we were able to be a few hours out and be able to call ahead and say, hey, we're going to be pulling in your area. Do you have a spot? Mm-hmm. And it's, in the past, this is years ago, it wasn't a big problem. No. But I think now, from what I'm hearing, it's not the case anymore that you're always going to have availability in an RV park.
Right.
And that's probably what you're
It definitely varies, though, by location and date.
Time of year. Like we were just in Salt Lake City.
Obviously, in Florida right now, it's a little harder to get a space than it would be in Montana.
Not now. It's the end of March. It's not difficult now. But we just came from Salt Lake City for RVX just 2 weeks ago. The place was empty.
Yeah, right. Nobody wants to be in Salt Lake City right now,
right?
Unless you're skiing.
Well, yeah, and they're probably not there in RVs because that's not up on the ski resorts.
Exactly.
But there's certainly more RVers on the road these days.
Yeah, but I think we have an advantage as full timers because we're just out here and we'll just kind of adapt. If we wanted to get a reservation for tomorrow night and it wasn't available, we'd just stay here tonight or whatever.
It's just that flexibility you have.
We have flexibility.
But the flip side of it is because of the increase in demand, we have seen an awful lot more buzz about building new RV parks. So there is definitely push now. People are realizing that there's more demand than there is supply. So hopefully that will begin to change a little bit again with more RV parks opening up.
And here's a very interesting question from Angela Black. Any tips on not killing each other when backing into spots? And I'm assuming you mean you're not talking about the kind of killing each other where someone accidentally backs over the other person.
You mean when you're communicating between a guide person and a driver?
So if hand signals are hard for you to get around to,
that's what we do.
Get yourself a pair of walkie-talkies at least so you can scream at each other without yelling as loud.
That's right. It does help.
We've actually, I'm pretty comfortable just backing in usually by myself.
Remember though, of course,
if you have a trailer, it's a different story.
Right.
Not everybody is.
Well, not everybody is. And
not everybody is as talented a driver as you are.
That's right.
But I think the hand signals are good. So I know even for us when we're making sure that the car is hooked up appropriately and all the signals are working, that I'll go way in the back. Yeah. And then we've got these pre-planned hand signals that we do together.
So make sure you know as the driver who's, like, if you're going this or whatever, that you know which one's right and which one's left and which one means stop.
Right. Right. Whatever. Come up with a couple of signals for what left and right mean, whether it's turn the steering wheel to the left or take the rear of the RV to the left. And certainly make sure you have a signal for stop.
And take it slow. Don't.
And it's not the middle finger.
No, that's not the good way.
So that actually is the question. So Angela, the tip
can be, but that usually has nothing to do with parking.
Angela, the answer to your question is don't use the middle finger as one of the hand signals.
Well, and sort of, it's interesting. So of course, Peter being a professional driver means he doesn't really even need me back there. I think he just sends me back there to make me feel like I'm helping. But we do, on occasion, we will use walkie-talkies, and oftentimes if I am clearly not communicating what I need to him, I will just say stop, and I will just walk up to the window and say, okay, here's what I'm seeing, and then he'll figure out what he needs to do. So And we also know couples where they actually swap. So the husband does the driving on the road,
Interesting.
but the wife backs it in parks. And it was because they ran into that trouble where they were having difficulties communicating.
Yeah.
And so they swapped roles and found out that actually she was way better at getting the RV parked, and he was way better with the hand signals. So
and if there's there's any doubt, don't feel bad about just getting out and going back and checking out something before you run over it. Like maybe there's a log or a bumper there that you might hit if you're too low in the back. So don't just assume, especially at night, or if you're traveling alone and you have to back into a spot. Just don't assume that you know what's back there.
I always have to remind myself, because sometimes I'm back there and I realize, oops, I'm in a spot where he can't actually see me. Because if I can't see him in the
that's
mirror,
a big tip.
So then I'm like, just a little
That's
further.
a big tip. If you can't see the mirror, the driver can't see you. So don't stand behind the RV and go like this, because they can't see you unless you're off where the mirror can see you, and the backup camera probably doesn't have enough detail to see what you need.
And I think one marriage saver could be the idea of just try switching places once. Because that will help you to understand what the issues are with driving the RV into the space, and it will help your spouse understand the issues of you being back there. And
we should try that next
time. But that could cause immediate death.
Could you film that? Can we see that on YouTube?
That would be kind of funny.
I think that should be a live stream.
Just on the driver.
Just on the driver, right.
That could cause immediate
Only
death.
if you're comfortable with that switch.
Be a lot of
left. No.
Right, so here's a great question from Chris Hall. Chris says he has a Forest River Class C, 30 feet, and he's new to owning an RV. Am I supposed to keep the propane turned off outside until using something like the oven or furnace? So I will give our answer first.
Well, the official answer is...
The official answer is that when you're driving, are you supposed to have it off?
Keep it off.
It is.
What do you guys do?
I always have it on.
Ours is never. The only time there are only 2 times we turn our propane, the main knob on the tank, off. And we did it yesterday.
When you're filling.
When we're putting propane in, and the guy who fills it will turn it off if you haven't. And when we're going through a tunnel that requires it to be shut off, or a ferry boat that requires it to be shut off. Other than that, we never shut it off.
Yeah, I was going to say, when we had an RV fridge, we left it on because we left the fridge on while we were driving in order to keep everything cold.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have a residential fridge now, so technically we don't need to leave the propane on while we're driving, but it's just a matter
I think
of
a lot of people are in the same boat. They're just unsure, and I think most people that I have talked to, they leave it on.
Yeah, exactly.
But the official word is you're supposed to turn off your propane when you're not using it. Now, what if you had a travel trailer?
Yeah.
Should you leave it on?
That's a good question. We don't have a travel trailer.
I think the same rule applies.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. The official answer is you're supposed to turn it off, but almost every RVer we know leaves it on.
Yeah. Here's a good tip from Ken. He says if the driver can't see the spotter, stop. That's a good one.
No, gun it.
And jumping off the cliff has a good one too. By the way, I should have remembered this one. The acronym GOAL, GOAL. Get out and look.
Yes.
And that is handy too. And that is something we used to call taking a mental picture of what's back there before you go in. That's a great tip.
Yeah, because oftentimes what you're talking about is something that's up high that the driver can't see in the mirror easily. So having them get out and take a look just helps them have that visual of knowing what they need to navigate through to get the RV into the space.
Quick question from Alan wants to know, for each of us, what was our worst boondocking experience? I will mention ours. We were stuck in the desert and had to be towed out. The only time we've ever had to be towed out.
Yep.
How about you guys?
We had this similar experience. We had to be pulled out of stuck in the sand.
Oh,
yeah.
But I don't know if it was the worst experience. It started out kind of bad, but it ended up good because we ended up staying there for a few days and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but it was really embarrassing because we were stuck in the sand.
People were watching.
They just watched.
Oh.
Yeah, just as he's trying to
set up the lawn chairs, get out the drinks.
One of the worst things you want to do.
RVers.
One of the worst things you want to do is draw a crowd of people in their RV chairs, drinking beverages, watching whatever you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. I think, though, that's probably a good testament to the fact that we haven't really had any bad boondocking experiences.
No.
And Chris says he appreciates our answer, but he's just afraid of propane.
Yeah.
Chris, I will tell you this.
Then turn it off.
If you're worried about it, you can turn it off. But
it
I will tell you this, if it will make you be a little less worried, not only have we never had any issue, You guys have never had any issue? We don't know personally anybody who's had an issue. It's a pretty robust system. It works pretty well.
And also,
if it's your RV.
If it's a concern, make that part of your routine check, that you check your propane lines and making sure that everything, there's nothing leaking, and especially inside the RV even.
Troy Foxon says, all electric. Full electric, baby. Well, Troy, you're right about that. All electric definitely gets rid of the propane problem.
Yes.
But that's not always so good for boondocking unless you've got lots and lots of solar panels and battery power.
Yeah. And also keep in mind that when your refrigerator is running on propane, it's not always running. No. It goes in and it just kind of needs to cool for a little while, and then when it reaches the temperature, it shuts off. It's not always... And there's not always a fire.
And Sharon says she doesn't feel comfortable with the propane on because what would happen if you ran over something and cut the hose? The systems are actually pretty well designed in that regard. The hoses are pretty well, they don't sit in places where they'd be cut if they're well designed. But again, if you're uncomfortable, turn it off while you're driving. There's no problem with doing that.
You can certainly check to make sure. So I know in most cases they typically route the propane lines along the chassis rails so that they are away from things like that. But if yours is not designed that way, then absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely understand your RV and know these things.
And if you have an older RV that's new to you, if you bought a used RV, maybe you don't feel comfortable with it. Again,
I know there is one. There is a concern sometimes where if you have propane line that runs near your tires,
right,
and if you have a blown tire, it may damage the propane
Yep.
line, and so just if you can just get under and inspect your rig and figure out what's there.
And I see that other people are commiserating with us that they hate it when people just watch and don't be the entertainment.
No, right.
Yes, nothing to see here. Yeah. Just move along. Thank you, jumping off the cliff, Dean and Wendy, for those comments.
Yes.
We totally get it.
But you have a saying as well, and he tells me this all the time when I'm driving, which is, don't let other people drive your RV. So meaning not just don't hand the keys to strangers, but meaning don't drive your RV because you're worried about what someone else is doing. Make sure you're driving your RV the way you're comfortable. So if you have to take your time and it takes 10 tries to get into that space,
it's fine.
Just ignore the people who have set up lawn chairs and are having,
don't pay any attention.
Right. Don't let the worry about that make you do something you'll regret.
Also, Rich wants to know when we are going to move into the Superstar.
I know, right?
Do you work for Newmar, or are you telling us something we don't know?
You are asking the wrong people that question. You should be asking that to the people at Newmar.
That's
and
right.
We would actually, we wish you would send us your email address and we will PayPal you a little bit.
Anyone who's on this live right now who thinks that we should be in a brand new Newmar, please feel free to go to newmarcorp.com, fill out the contact form.
Question from Ken Schaefer. For 2 full-timers and a large Class A, what is the minimum CCC you recommend? That is cargo carrying capacity.
Yes.
That is totally a personal thing, Ken. That's a hard one. One thing we suggest you do, of course...
It'll never be enough.
Have your rig weighed and see how much extra capacity you've got. If you're worried about that and you're going to be carrying a lot of stuff around, like maybe you're in business and you carry a lot of
heavy tools
with you or tools.
And the other thing too is it's not just the total cargo carrying capacity, because since our RV has a tag axle, we have a very high cargo carrying capacity. However, none of our storage compartments are over the tag axle. We can't add weight to the tag axle.
You can't have storage compartments over the tag axle.
Yeah, having the coach weighed in order to know what the actual weights you're allowed on each of the individual axles is a big deal, because we have to be careful about what we load where in our basement compartment to keep the weight shifted as far back as possible. So I would think, just as sort of a guideline, I would probably want at around the 4,000 to 5,000 pound mark for full timing, just because in a big RV we're carrying a lot of stuff. But if you're only in a 30-foot RV, I don't think you could fit 5,000 pounds worth of stuff in there, unless you work with whittling wet lead.
Our RV hasn't been empty in so long. I don't remember how much weight we've got on board with cargo.
Yeah, exactly. It has been a long time, but it is the distribution that also affects what you can bring.
It's a lot. And I apologize, I'm helping us move along a little bit. I just want to get to some more questions before we finish up.
Do you feel rushed?
No.
Nope. Okay. Someone wants to know what GPS use. What do we use GPS and what brand? We have a
Garmin RV770 at the moment,
and we are just kind of testing that out. It's new to us. We love it so far,
mostly.
Except for the fact that when we set it to
the very feature we bought it for, having it
the
route us on an
RVs,
RV.
when we set it to be thinking it's being used in an RV versus a car, it seemed to think everything is a low weight bridge or a low overpass, so we leave it set to car, and we haven't. We're not thrilled with that part yet. How about you guys?
We have a Garmin as well. It's not the RV one. I think it's just a Nuvi 9 something. But it doesn't have that feature that you can say the size of your rig.
Yep.
Luckily, here in the western part of the U.S., we don't have as many of those issues that you might on the East Coast.
In the West, there's not a lot of overpasses because it's all flat.
Usually, if it and ours is we have a Class C, so it's not the maximum height is 11 feet.
Yeah.
Right on the button, so we don't have those issues.
Right.
Once we get up to 13, 14 feet.
Well, and actually the other thing too, we've also been using the Copilot app on our iPad Mini, and I have to say I really like the Copilot app. In some ways better than the Garmin RV. It was cheaper. It was only $50 to buy the app. I already had the iPad.
I used it, yeah.
And you can do the same thing. You can set up your height and weight and length so that it will route you on an RV-specific route, and it tends to do a better job on the routing than the Garmin does. But I don't use it all that often because we just sort of leave the Garmin on in auto route and just take our chances. But we also don't rely on any one device.
Yeah.
So we'll route on the Garmin, but we probably did the routing the night before on the laptop just to see what the general picture was, so we knew where we were going. And if the Garmin doesn't agree, then sometimes we'll ignore it. We use the phone, we'll use Apple Maps, we'll use Google Maps, we'll use Waze if we're in a metropolitan area.
But low overpasses and low weight bridges are less of an issue in the West.
And it's also important if you have like a Garmin or something that you can keep updated to make sure that you apply those updates as the road situation changes, that you always have the latest maps loaded.
Yeah, which is actually sort of one of the arguments we have for having the on-device, like on your iPhone type thing, because those are being updated more easily than having to download, an update to your Garmin.
Connect it to your computer.
Yeah, right.
We have a question from Bill who wants to know if we worry about someone knocking on our door while we're traveling, and how do we handle answering the door at night? I know that Brian and Melissa have a camera on the outside of their RV.
It has kept some unsavory people out of your RV.
Yes. And I think they have a button that they can push that electrifies the door handle.
I wouldn't be surprised.
We've never really had that situation.
No, we haven't either. I would suggest this: while you're in a place, particularly if you're in a Walmart lot, leave your door locked while you're on board, just to be prudent. And if someone knocks on the door, open the window. Don't just open the door and talk to them through the window.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Just look, talk to them through the window.
Simple as that. We've never felt threatened out here.
And I've actually had somebody knock on my. I was alone actually at the time, but I was also parked overnight in a place that I wasn't supposed to be parked at. So the person knocking on the door was the actual ranger, saying you're not supposed to be here.
Yep. If they're in uniform, you feel a little safer.
And it was at about 3:00 in the morning. So I had to move. But yeah, I always think about that. What if somebody does knock on the door? You don't, if you don't feel comfortable just opening the door, don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't just open the door.
Just maybe a window and say, "What do you want?" Or they can just yell through the window.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, if the only times I think that we've had someone knock it was actually another RVer.
Yeah.
And they sort of, if we had to knock on somebody's door, we sort of, as we're approaching, we're like, "Hello, is anybody home? Knock, knock," kind of thing, without actually knocking on the door, which sort of just helps put people at ease that you're not just sort of lurking up and suddenly knocking.
Right.
But yeah, it hasn't happened very often at all, and it was actually these guys.
So. Where do we usually?
So we just let them right in.
We have another question. Let's see. Someone wants to know if Brian would do another delamination repair. It looked tough. Would you do it if you had it to do over again?
It depends on the extent of it. There are still some spots that I've noticed since that still probably need a little bit of attention. But
it was quite a project.
That was a serious project.
Oh my gosh.
Brian takes on more serious projects than your average DIY RVer.
I think I would. It depends on if I thought it was worth it or not. I mean, if you think that it's the deal with that particular project is that I thought about it for a long time, and I realized I tried to come up with a plan to figure out how I would get in and access those spots that needed to be repaired.
Yeah.
If they were in places that I couldn't, my approach would have been different. But I actually thought about that project for over a year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Before I actually did it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's an interesting insight into the YouTube world. It didn't just happen. You didn't just say, I'm
just
going to do that today and start videoing.
But once I did, I committed to a whole week.
Yep.
You know, says okay, I have to continue to do this.
I think we would hire.
We'd
hire Brian.
Yeah, right.
But
I don't think we can afford Brian for that project.
If it was big enough, I would, consider just replacing the whole sidewall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you do that yourself?
I don't know.
Where would you get a sidewall?
Well, actually, when I did that project, the company
Camping World
on the East Coast actually approached me. With that had the product.
They actually
say, would you like to review this? I'm like, well, how would I review it? Tear off the side of my RV and replace it? I mean, it's like
right.
Yeah. So they said, well, if you ever
consider
change your mind, let us know.
So,
that could be the next reno project.
But yeah, it was a really good product that wasn't, a different material that I wouldn't have delamination or water problems.
Yeah, I was going to say some of the new composite walls are interesting.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So next question was, Andrew asks, where do you usually weigh your rig? Let me mention something about weighing. You can't just go to a CAT scale and pull onto it and find out that your rig weighs 20,000 pounds. That won't do you much good. It'll do you good when it comes to whether you're over gross weight or not, but when it comes to tire pressures, that has to have at least axle weights, but preferably corner weights to know what to do. So you really want to go, you could go to the RVSEF. The RV Safety and Education Foundation does weighing.
Yep. Escapees has a weighing program. So if you're a member of Escapees, they have people who are mobile weighing.
And they use portable scales where they set them down and drive one axle, one corner at a time onto it.
We actually just had it weighed at Redlands Truck and RV in Southern California.
As part of doing our alignment, we just got two new tires, and they had to weigh all 6 positions. So we have 6 positions on this RV. Most have 4, but because we have a tag axle, we have 6. So they weigh the front tires individually, the drive wheels on each side individually, and the tag axle each individually.
We have also had it weighed at Newmar at the factory. We've had it weighed at Spartan at the factory when we were there for maintenance. We have had it weighed at I think at the RV rally they had weighing, so you can get it done if you have a brand rally.
Don't just go to a truck stop. That's not going to do you a lot of good.
We have also double checked ourselves just to get sort of axle weights to make sure we hadn't shifted too much stuff in Oregon, where they leave the scales open at the truck weigh stations.
Yeah, but you can only
you can only do axles, which is sort of a problem. But again, at least it's a starting point. Yes, ideally you want 4 corner weights or 6 corner weights if you have a tag.
Note from Hector.
Hi, Hector.
Hi, Hector. How are you? Good to see you here today. He said, tell Tito I'm mad at him for not answering my question on his flooring video.
Oh.
Well, we just told him. Now he's going to have to go back. Now he's going to have to go back and find it. You are in the doghouse with Hector, and Hector's one of
the answer was maybe. That depends.
That's a good hedge. That was nice.
Jim wants to know if we're coming to the East Coast this summer. Jim, no, we are not coming to the East Coast this summer.
Are you guys going to the East Coast this summer?
No.
Jim, you're going to have to come to the West Coast this summer.
A couple of people explaining how we get weighed. We just answered that one. Oh, and Escapee Smart Weigh program. Very good. Let's see. Let's get a couple more here before we start to wind down. Let's see. Any special tips for washing or waxing the RV that you might share, or do you both have someone else do it? We had our RV washed and waxed by someone else once.
It was a luxury.
A big luxury. We do it ourselves, and we use the greatest car wax in the world. If you have an automotive type finish like we do, a full paint job, write this down, kids. You're going to love this tip. Go to Amazon or go to your local auto parts store and look up something called Meguiar's NXT Tech Wax. It is the greatest liquid wax you will ever use. You just wipe it on with no rubbing, and then you wipe it off, and it's like greased lightning. It's a polymer.
You get better gas mileage.
It's Meguiar's NXT Tech Wax. That's what we use.
Yeah. Well, I've used just a regular Meguiar's wax. I mean, waxing, obviously washing an RV is easier than waxing an RV. So, pick a product that you're comfortable with, or, pick a product and then have somebody else do it.
Exactly.
But I would typically do it in sections. I mean, for me.
Yeah, right.
So I would do it myself, but I would do one side at a time.
We find as we get older, we're doing that more and more.
Yeah.
We used to do the whole RV. We used to wash and wax it in the same day, and
that's a lot.
This one gets more sun. I'll just start with this part first, and then I'll do the rest.
We'll do that side today, and then we'll do that side tomorrow, and then maybe next week we'll wax.
Chuck mentioned he loves our channel, and he has a 2008 Mountaineer that they just purchased. Congratulations to you, Chuck. And our videos have been helpful, and now they're going to subscribe to Melissa and Brian.
Oh, thanks.
Excellent.
Definitely good choice.
Also, here's a great question. James wants to know why we needed 2 new tires. In a nutshell, we have a very interesting rotation schedule. 2 tires every 5 years, 6 tires 5 years later, 2 tires 5 years later, 6 tires 5 years later. We're going to explain that in an upcoming video, but it makes sure that our front tires never have more than 5 years on them. And even though the tires always last 10 years.
We wish we could say that we had planned it that way.
Yeah, it's a long story. We'll tell you more.
But so it was not because of any problem or anything like that. It was just time they were due for change.
What RVs are good for people with wheelchair and mobility problems are they that are in a poor man's budget? I can tell you that Newmar makes a number of models with wheelchair lifts.
Yeah, so it is.
But like the Canyon Star, you are going to have to go, if you're really on a poor man's budget, you're going to need to go with used probably. In that case, go to RVtrader.com. Look for, I don't remember the name of the floor plan, but if you go to Newmar's website and look for their wheelchair accessible floor plans, you'll know the floor plan model number, and then go look for that on RV Trader used.
And Winnebago only just recently started offering them as an actual option on their product lines, but they've been doing mobility enhanced RVs for a long time as custom orders. So it may just have to be that you're going to luck into finding a used one that someone is selling.
Right.
But again, it depends on your mobility as well. If you are wheelchair bound, then you obviously need the wider aisle and a wheel-in shower, lower countertops kind of thing. But if you are more mobile than that and just need assistive devices for getting in and out of the RV or things like that, you might be able to get away with just a non-slide floor plan, so that way it's designed to have more walking space, those kinds of things.
I wonder if a Class B would have more accessibility.
Well, that's an interesting idea. And also because you can have a lift more easily or a ramp possibly. And some of it will depend.
Side door.
Right.
Let's see. So exploring Nomad Media. We will not be at the Hershey show in Pennsylvania. Sorry about that. Also, Hans asked, when you want to descale your water heater, how do you get the vinegar just into the water heater? I'm going to mention we have 2 or 3 videos on that one. If you look at our channel, we've done for both Atwood and Suburban heaters how to go about descaling your water heater. How many years do we keep our RV tires? Our tires run 10 years, but as I just mentioned, we never have more than 5 years on the front tires. You must follow your manufacturer's recommendations. Michelin allows up to 10 years under certain circumstances. Yours may be less. Right?
Yeah, I haven't kept it more than 10. I think the last time that we got tires, we had an alignment problem, so we had some weird wear.
Okay.
And this is when we did some suspension upgrades, and it fixed all that, and it got it realigned. So after that, I got all new tires. But since then, the tires have been perfectly fine. But yeah, I would probably go 7 years or between 7 and 10.
Yeah, there's
unless you have a problem and you have to replace them earlier.
Yeah,
exactly. Check for cracking and wear all the time.
Yep. And I've seen a couple of comments on here about Blue Beacon. Somebody said they're concerned about high pressure water and somebody getting a paint scratch. We've been to Blue Beacon quite a number of times, and we haven't had a problem.
Yeah, again, but we're sort of anal retentive about maintaining our roof seals. They don't even wash the roof directly. They don't go up there.
And they don't power wash too hard against the side of the RV. They stay back a little
Especially if you're out watching. So if you get out of the RV and stand there, they're even more careful about it.
Yeah, but you can't watch both sides at once.
No, you can't. But they're aware that you're out. And secondly, our paint being a 2005, it's a different formulation. It's harder than the new paints. So I know on newer RVs, I think as of around, full paint jobs from Newmar in particular, as of around, I think it was 2010, they switched brands of paint or something like that, and the clear coat is softer. And so in the owner's manual, they specifically say only using soft lamb's wool to wash it and things like that, because it actually scratches more easily. It's softer, which keeps it that deeper glossy look or something. So I guess we're lucky having an older RV that we've got, hardened paint.
I only use cotton diapers.
Oh,
on
nice.
my RV.
You're really hammering. Or is it depends?
Or depends.
Here's a loaded question from Hotel Boz. What do you think of the Schwintek system for slides?
Is that the new?
Those are those tracks that run down, tooth tracks that run on the side of the slide
mechanisms.
I wish I had them.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I have old slides, so mine moves a little bit.
Yeah, we have heard mixed things about them.
Thor in particular had an awful lot of problems with the Schwintek slides.
And they had to add then a second and a third track on some of them.
Actually.
Oh, are they really?
They're up to 4. There's not anything inherently wrong with the Schwintek mechanism itself. I think the problem that ended up happening was RV manufacturers weren't paying close enough attention to the maximum limits for the mechanism. When you're looking at an RV that has a full wall slide and it's got the Schwintek mechanism, I would run for the hills, because that's just too much weight. It's too much maneuvering. It's too much to keep in sync. It was really designed to do smaller slides, like in the bedroom and things like that, where they could put the mechanism in the wall in order to clear up space and make it much sleeker and cleaner, and not have to deal with a lot of weight or a lot of movement. So once you start seeing them being used on much larger slides, that's where you start seeing the problems. So there's nothing inherently wrong with the Schwintek mechanism. It's brilliantly engineered. I think it was just misused.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they need more tracks to handle more weight. So a full wall slide is not going to be handled by a single or double track on each side.
Yeah, and putting like the whole kitchen in it and things like that with the refrigerator and the sink, where you've now got a really heavy slide that they're putting that it's just not smart. Yeah, so it was. I don't blame Schwintek in and of itself. I think the RV manufacturers just got a little bit lazy.
It looked like a great idea when I first saw them. It's like,
they're brilliant.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it's a really great system. Very well.
Because mine kind of we do have our refrigerator and stuff on the slide, so it tends to get, when it gets heavy, it kind of rocks a little bit coming in and out.
Yeah, right.
Deborah
Not
Clark,
quite so happy.
Deborah just said, "Oh, great, we have a full slide that's Schwintek."
Oh.
Deborah,
how's it working?
How is it working? If it's been working great, and how many tracks have you got? If you look at if you're outside and you look at the side of the slide, you should see probably 2 tracks at the bottom and maybe 1 or 2 tracks up at the top. The more of those tracks there are, the more of those teeth have to pull on.
Is it a full wall slide on a 20-foot Class B, or is it a full wall slide on a 40-foot Class A?
Right.
So there's a difference. Not all full slides are made the same. But again, a lot of it has to do with weight. What is in that slide? So is it lighter stuff? Is it just maybe a couch and your dinette?
How far out does it go?
How far out does it go, and how long is it? So I wouldn't worry just out of the box, but just keep your eye on it.
Yeah.
Sherilyn wants to know if we'll be seeing an RVgeeks and RVwithTito collab anytime soon. Well, you're seeing sort of one now.
Yeah. I don't know.
And we actually did one.
Are you not really here?
I know.
We actually did one. If you want to see us do a video together, you can see one on both the RVwithTito channel and here on our channel, which was the second video we did about the LevelMate Pro, which was how to level your RV without jacks. And that one we demonstrated on your Class C.
Yeah.
You're very generously.
How's that LevelMate working? Is it still?
It's worked pretty well. We don't actually use it right now. We actually loaned it to
my dad.
Your dad.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like, I want to try it. So we're like, so I really want to try it. So I let him use it.
Yeah,
it's good. He's been enjoying
it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But
and they have a Class A, so they have a Winnebago.
Okay, nice. So we're not ruling out the option for a collab.
Hey, Sherilyn.
Toss us some suggestions. What would you like to see us collaborate on? Maybe Brian could renovate the interior of RV.
Hey.
Maybe.
You'd be a little afraid because he starts just ripping stuff out.
I'll do it as long as you can just, like those shows where you just go away for a month and you leave it all up to me.
Oh, really?
And you come back and something is different.
Maybe there won't be a collab on renovating the interior of RV. We're a little too hands-on for that.
I'll come up with a theme, like, tribal or something.
Leopard print.
Jim McGlone wants to know if the geeks have any plans on seeing Nikki and Jason win in the future. We just love them, and you too. Thank you, Jim. So all I can say is,
Yes.
There are plans in the works, and I can say no more.
We miss us some Nikki and Jason.
We were potentially going to go see them in Tahiti, but we just have been too busy. We were not able to go. But the answer is yes, there are plans in the works, but it is not settled the details yet. Stay tuned. And it may not be as soon as you think, but
maybe it'll be a collab with RV with Tito.
Yeah.
Hey.
Maybe it's going to happen.
Maybe. I have
lots of the South Pacific.
Yeah.
I have lots of board shorts.
And Wendy mentioned that the Level Mate Pro is awesome. When the batteries are working, laugh out loud. By the way, the newer Level Mate Pros do have that little on-off switch. That makes it so the batteries never ever wear out. We have the original set of batteries in ours for like a year and a half now, and that upgrade to the new version made a big difference.
But again, make sure that you change your app to set the timeout to a shorter period of time, so it doesn't stay on after you've been moving the RV.
Yep, and if you've got the old one without the on-off switch, just set it to the minimum, which is 1 hour, and it will shut off. Yeah. And also, I see that Troy, thank you, did mention to Deborah that we did see Nikki and Jason on their boat. We did sail through the Panama Canal with them. Again, there's a collab video on our channel and Nikki and Jason's with us sailing through the Panama Canal, and that's been almost a year and a half now.
I know.
It's been a while.
And look how far they've gone now.
Yeah, really. I think they're trying to get away from us is really what this is all about.
I think so.
They had to leave the continent.
Anyway, I think we probably ought to kind of start to wrap up. We've been going longer than we anticipated. We thought we'd be maybe 45 minutes or an hour. And
I thought we were going to run out of things to say.
An hour 20. So I think if we can, we're going to just mention a couple of shameless plugs here. First off.
Oh, look, everybody left. No, just kidding.
First off, we love the fact that we have... Some of you have given us some thumbs up so far. We see that we need to have all of you who haven't yet given us a thumbs up today on this video right now offset the one troll who gave us a thumbs down. Would you all please offset him and give us a thumbs up?
Really,
if you don't mind. So, second, make sure you visit RVwithTito.com. That is where Melissa and Brian have their videos. And
subscribe to their YouTube channel.
If you weren't already familiar with their work, if you like the work we do, you will love the DIY intensive content that goes really deep into some stuff beyond what we do.
Intense.
Brian.
I'll break it first so you don't have to.
That is Brian's motto. I'll break it so that you don't have to.
It works. It works.
And also, of course, they are on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
The RV with Tito channel there. Just look for RV with Tito.
RV with Tito everywhere. You'll find it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So just Google RV with Tito, and there they'll be. Everybody's saying thank you, and thank you all for being here.
Yeah,
this was really wonderful.
Hope you enjoyed
it. This was fun. If you liked this, you can leave comments below afterward, and we'll be happy to answer them later if we can, and we'll see if we can get Brian and Melissa to come back over and answer them later. If you like this and had a good time, we'll try and do it again. We see that we've had about 250 people here just about the whole time. We're really gratified. We want to thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I hope this has been as much fun for you as it has for us.
And I want to apologize about the little live blip the other day on our channel. Literally, I had the software set up so that it could not connect, and yet somehow it did. So I was testing it, and it didn't work.
And I see that's a couple of wise guys out there.
Oh, no.
So I just want you two people who just thumbed us down, I want you to know that we went from 85 to 100, now 171 thumbs up like that, and just two of you were outnumbered, so do your worst.
Don't challenge them.
No, don't.
It was probably my mother.
No, I can, because you can't give more than one thumbs down.
No, that's
I can say whatever I want to you now. You've already done your dirty work. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thanks for joining us.
More people are offsetting those nasty people.
Have a good week.
Thank you very much. Now, John's got to figure out how to push the button to stop this, or we'll be here all night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
See you later.
Take
Thanks
care.
for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Just in case.
I think we're still